Hi girls, I'm Gurly from Troop 2898, and I have the honor of introducing our special guest, Miss Sylvia Acevedo, CEO of Girl Scouts of the USA. Miss Acevedo grew up in Las Cruces, New Mexico, where she was a Girl Scout just like us, and it was in Girl Scouts where she learned to love science, and eventually she went to college and earned her master's degree in engineering from Stanford University. Ms. Acevedo began her career as a rocket scientist at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. She has also held leadership roles at Apple, Dell, and IBM. Since being appointed CEO of Girl Scouts of the USA in May 2017, Ms. Acevedo has propelled Girl Scouts into the future by creating and launching 42 new STEM badges, including the cybersecurity, robotics, design thinking, coding, data analytics, and space science. She is also the author of Path to the Stars: My Journey from Girl Scout to Rocket Scientist, a memoir for middle school students that inspires readers to live the lives of their dreams. Welcome to our campus, Ms. Acevedo.
Hi, everybody. It's good to see you. It's really a lot of fun. I hope you can see me fine. I'm in California as well and having a really beautiful day. You can see got the tent set up here in the backyard, and you might get to see my dog. She might come by here. So it's a lot of fun to be able to spend some time with you. I really enjoyed learning about how Girl Guides of England is a little different than Girl Scouting, so that was a lot of fun. I'm so glad that you're doing Starry Night. You mentioned my book, which is Path to the Stars, or in Spanish, Camino a las Estrellas, and it's how, Girl Scouts helped me become a rocket scientist. So what I'd like to do today is tell you a little bit about my story, and hopefully we'll have some time for questions if that works out. So what happened when I was young is my family, all my parents were from Mexico. My grandparents were from Mexico. My dad was born in the US and my mom was born in Mexico. So we grew up in a Spanish speaking household. I was really fortunate that in second grade, a girl followed me home and really pestered me to go to this program with her. And it turns out it was a brownie program. And I'm so glad she did, because I fell in love with Girl Scouts, all the great things we could do. One of the funnest things that we did was go camping. And in New Mexico, you get to see stars. It is like starry, starry night all the time. And I just thought they were twinkly lights up there. And my troop leader, she sat down next to me, and I don't know if you can see, but see, I'm sitting on a log. Mm-hmm. So she and I sat down on a log together after we had eaten s'mores. And it was the first time I'd ever had s'mores. Wow. Loved it. And she taught me that the stars were actually, they were constellations, they were stars and planets. And I had no idea about that. So it was so fascinating to me. Now, I'm so grateful because she remembered that later. And she encouraged me to earn my science badge by doing something with space. So I ended up making a little rocket from this thing called a Estes rocket kit. And I'll tell you, I failed 5 times. 5 times. And I'm glad I was in Girl Scouts, because I think if I had been in school and I failed making a rocket 5 times, my teacher would have said, Sylvia, I don't think you're meant for this. But because I was in Girl Scouts, I kept trying. And finally, on the 6th time, my rocket went up. And I was really excited, and I said, I can do science, I can do math. And after that, I started to really take all my science and math electives very seriously. And so much so that I became a rocket scientist. So I'm very grateful. And I have a patch. This is a cool thing about being the Girl Scout CEO, is you get your own patch.
Oh, that's awesome.
And my patch, that's the planet Jupiter. It's not a cookie. It's Jupiter,
Okay.
by the red dot.
Yeah.
And the 2 stars, those are representative of my, oh, there you go. The 2 stars on the side, that's representative of my troop leaders. The rocket ship is an homage to my first science badge by making a rocket ship. It says CEO on it. The planet is Jupiter, because I worked on a mission called Voyager 2 that went by Jupiter. And then I really like math, so it has some of my favorite math symbols. The one at the bottom is sigma, which means sum, because I love counting my cookie cash. And then pi, I was making a craft, and my mom wanted to know how I could know how much material I needed because it had round ends on what I was creating. And she said, "You don't have a pattern." And I said, "Oh, don't worry, Mom. I did the math. It's 2 pi r." And she said, "I'm glad you like math, Miha." And then finally, an infinity, because Girl Scouts unleash my infinite potential. So every day I wake up thinking, how can I help Girl Scouts unleash their infinite potential?
That's awesome. Okay, so we'll start with our interview now.
Perfect.
Okay, so in your book Path to the Stars, you said that stargazing on your first campout as a Brownie Girl Scout got you interested in science. Can you tell us about that trip?
So that's a really fun trip because it was the first time I'd gone camping, and my father, he wasn't so confident about me doing that. So he wanted to make sure we were safe. So he talked to my troop leaders to assure that it was safe. And it really was the first time I had been away from my family on a sleepover of any kind. So that was really kind of a great new adventure for me. It was a camp that wasn't very far from where we lived, so it didn't take a long time to get there. And in fact, we earned our cycling badge doing that because a bunch of us were earning our cycling badge, learning how to repair our bikes. Also, I had to learn all the traffic signals on a bike, and I still remember them to this day. So if you ever go cycling with me, you'll see that I'm always doing the signals. But we rode our bikes there, and the troop leaders and our parents had brought all the other equipment, and we set it up, and then we had this beautiful evening. And that's when I saw the stars that really inspired me to like space and to pursue space. So that was such a great opportunity for me. So I remember that night very fondly.
So, what do you find most fascinating about space?
So it is just something that you can wonder in the awe of the bigness of it all. So I love that we have for our brownies a space science badge that is very reminiscent of my experience, which means to earn that badge, you have to name planets and constellations. So that's really cool. But for older girls in the senior ambassador, we also have a space science badge. And one of the things to earn that badge is you have to name and identify women who have been instrumental in the frontiers of space, but also you have to think about the universe and the complexity of the universe. You have to wonder big. And I love that because it causes you to think way outside of yourself. And I love the wonder of it. Like you just stare, you're not wasting time. You're wondering, you're staring at the sky, you're staring at the stars in the night. And I just think that's so wonderful.
Yeah.
You never know where that'll lead you.
So, I know that you used to work for NASA. So what kind of work did you do when you worked there?
So it's a lot of math. So it's things called algorithms, which are basically math statements, a lot of programming. So what I did, I got to, when a spacecraft gets, we launch it, and then it takes a long time to get to the planets. And so I was really fortunate because when I got to work at NASA's Jet Propulsion Labs, one of our spacecraft called Voyager 2 was passing by Jupiter and was doing a couple of orbits around it. And so there was all this information. And in fact, some of the first great pictures we ever saw of Jupiter were there. And when the spacecraft is orbiting, it's a 24/7 thing. So we actually slept. We ended up sleeping there at JPL because you would be getting all this data transmission. And then I had to analyze it and make sense of it. And that was a lot of my work as well.
Awesome. So, if you could go to any planet, which would you pick and why?
If I could go to any planet, that's a great question. So, Saturn and Jupiter are so gaseous. There's a lot of interest in Mars. Venus is super hot, but I've always been really kind of interested in Venus. But I'd have to have definitely the right kind of spacesuit to handle the heat of Venus and also all the chemicals.
For sure. How long have you been working for Girl Scouts, and what do you love about working for our organization?
So I have been working officially almost 4 years for Girl Scouts. And why I like working for Girl Scouts is things like this, because I'm so grateful that Girl Scouts gave me so much, the confidence and the courage and gave me the skills to really develop my life potential. And so every day I think about that and how can we create programs that work so well for you. So for example, that's why we're doing so much in science, technology, engineering, and math, because the world is changing around digital technology. And we want to make sure that Girl Scouts have the skills to be the creators of anything they want to be.
Awesome. So, what lessons did you learn as a Girl Scout that helped you become a great leader?
My goodness, that's a great question because, you know, at the time you don't realize that they're really leadership lessons, but later on you understand that. So one of them is the cookie program. So, you know, my family didn't have a lot of money. And so
We're not doing that.
using my cookie cash was really helpful, that I could do all the programs. So it taught me about how do you set goals and how do you create opportunities. So what is it you want to do? What are your dreams? What do you want to do? And then how do you set goals? And then how do you break down the goals into smaller pieces? To this day, I use that technique. The other thing is not taking no for an answer until you've heard it at least 3 times. And I learned that from the cookie program as well. So it taught me persistence and resilience, because a lot of times in life, people will say no to you. And if you really want something, you've got to be persistent and resilient and overcome all the challenges.
Yeah. So, what advice would you give to Girl Scouts that are interested in a career in science?
So it's several things. One of them, obviously, be confident in your math and your science. Be good at that. If you want to be an engineer, that means you're a problem solver. Scientists like to wonder and kind of think of all the possibilities. But what I would also stress is your confidence. There aren't as many women in STEM careers, so you have to really be confident. You have to own that you belong there. I know that many times when I worked at JPL, people were always checking my math, and it made me mad because I knew my math was right. But you have to have that confidence that, like, I can do this. And that confidence that we try to instill in every Girl Scout will let you go a long way. And I think that's why we have so many women trailblazers in America that were Girl Scouts. I mean, if you think about it, half of all female elected officials in America were Girl Scouts. And we're not half of all the girls. So that tells you we really, a lot of our girls really become leaders of society.
Awesome.
And
So,
honestly, almost every female astronaut that's been in space was a Girl Scout too.
Mm. So, as a woman in science, I know you wanted to put your mark on Girl Scouts with the amazing STEM badges that have been introduced in the last 4 years. What do you think about the STEM badges that Girl Scouts offers, and what are some of the most popular ones?
Okay, so why I really wanted to do that is that the world is, think about the mobile phone, think about how we're communicating right now. You know, unfortunately, women and girls were not part of creating it. And as a result, some things that are very important to us in terms of our privacy, in terms of our personal safety and security, were not included in the initial design. And I think that now some of those issues are becoming very important. And it was really, I think we need to have more women and girls who are prepared to do that. So I am very much focused on how do we create those girls that have that confidence, so that later on when somebody says, oh, you can't make that change, and they say, because you have to program a sensor, I want a woman to be in that room and said, I was a Girl Scout, and in middle school, we reprogrammed sensors for our robotics badge. So it's no big deal. So I want you to have that confidence and that knowledge and that sense that you can make that happen. The other thing is the world really is being remade around technology. And I want you to have the confidence that you could be the entrepreneurs, you could be the designers, you could be the ones creating the games, the bots, the apps, that keep you in consideration.
Yeah.
You know, I think that is so important. So I want you all to have those skills. So that's why we did that. And then the most popular badges right now, which surprised me in one way, but don't surprise me in another, are our cybersecurity badges. And I think that's because girls are very concerned about their personal safety and security and who can have information about them online. And also many girls have seen their parents or grandparents frauded online and lost money or other information. And so they're very concerned about that. And so our cybersecurity badges really have surprised us of just how popular they are.
Yeah. So, in addition to being a scientist, I understood you love the outdoors. We have a lot of girls
Yes.
who like to climb in our troop. Can you tell us about this climb you did on a glacier?
Oh, yeah. I was in New Zealand. That's a really great, yep, there I was. Um, that's the Franz Joseph Glacier in New Zealand. I will tell you, that was a really challenging climb. I was thinking about that this morning because I took a helicopter to get to the glacier, and then we got off the helicopter, and then you have to climb, go through crevices of the glacier, and then you get to a certain point, and there's still more glacier to climb. And at that point, I couldn't see how we were going to get to the next level of glacier. And our guide said, "Oh, here's what you do." And he starts taking the ice pick. So you have to basically create toe holes in the ice and then put the rope in there and pull yourself up the sheer crevasse, the sheer side of the glacier. That was an exhilarating day. It was a really hard work. I'm glad I did it. But that was really, really great. So I got to the top, and there you see me proudly holding that ice pick, because believe me, I use that pick to create foot and toe holes so I can get up to the top of the glacier.
Mm. How long did it take to climb up all the way?
So it took quite a few hours. It was we got there early in the morning, and it probably took, by the time we were all done, it was a 4 hour hike
Wow.
or climb. Yeah. So I love the great outdoors. And that's, I hope you can also see, I know I get a lot of credit for the STEM badges, but I'm hoping to get a lot of credit for the outdoor badges too, because we've greatly increased the number of outdoor badges. We have amazing trail running, rock climbing, tree climbing, snow camping. We have just really great outdoor badges as well now.
Yeah, that's really cool. I'm really glad you could join us and spend time talking about your amazing story and your thoughts on Girl Scouts. But before we go, I know I can't end an interview with the CEO of Girl Scouts without asking, what's your favorite Girl Scout cookie?
Uh, that's a great question. I'll tell you a story. Um, so when I was in Girl Scouts, my mother headed up the cookie cupboard and in our area, and we did not have a garage. Luckily, it was the desert, so it didn't rain much. It was in the winter. My mother moved out every piece of furniture except our beds and our dining table, but our sofa, all that went outside, and we got all the cookies for our council, floor to ceiling in our house. And to walk down our hall to get to our bedrooms, you had to walk sideways because we had so many cookies stacked up. But I begged my mother for this one cookie to be in my room. And I said, I promise I won't open up any cartons. But that night, I went to bed with a sweet smell of Thin Mints. And to this day, Thin Mints are my favorite cookie.
Me too. Great minds think alike.
Yes, great minds think alike.
Do you have any final words for us today?
Yes, always believe in yourself, okay? So when you want to do something, the first person you have to convince is yourself. Because once you believe you can do it, no one can dissuade you from it. No one. So hold on to that dream, okay? I believe in you. I believe you're capable of doing anything you want. I mean, I think about me. I've lived this amazing life, and I'm grateful to Girl Scouts. And I know you can do the same thing. Whatever your dreams are, I know you can make them come true.
Thank you. We were honored to have you join us today. Thank you for
Thank
everything you're
you.
doing for Girl Scouts.
Oh,
Bye.
you're right. Bye-bye. Have a fun time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.